Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie and I love hiking. My daughter Charlotte and I have been hiking since she was 6 weeks old, and we have gone through a lot of gear and clothing. So today I wanted to share with you a few of our favorite pieces of gear and clothing that we have found while hiking and backpacking together. So let's get into it. First off, we'll get into carriers. When my daughter was 6 weeks old and I started hiking with her, I started out by using this Tula carrier, and I front carried her on my chest. I love using the Tula because the support for my lower back was fantastic. And I could wear her on my front and I could wear whatever backpack I wanted to wear on my back. So for smaller hikes, I would throw on a small backpack. When I was backpacking, I could wear my normal backpacking backpack. This was great. We wore this from 6 weeks old until 11 months old. And that is when I upgraded to the Osprey Poco Plus. This thing has been through some things. We love her. She is gigantic, but amazing. And Charlie switched to this at 11 months old. She was so happy. I was a little nervous about switching her from the Tula to this since she'd been in the Tula for so long, but she loved this thing from day one. I think a different view, sitting up high on my back and looking forward instead of towards me, was probably a lot more comfortable for her. And I wasn't sweating all over her, so I'm sure that was a bonus. One of the huge things I love about the Osprey Poco Plus is you can get a rain cover for it. So I bought this separately, but this thing is fantastic. It covers almost her entire body when it's on, and it kind of makes a shell or a cocoon. So even if it isn't rainy out, but it's a super cold hike, I'll put this on and it makes like an extra barrier around her to trap in her heat. Huge fan. And lastly, for baby carriers, we're kind of in a transition mode. Charlie is 2 years and 3 months. She's very sturdy on her feet, but she doesn't have stamina. So I still do prefer to use the Osprey Poco Plus most of the time. But I did invest in a Trail Magic carrier. If you don't know what this is, it is a baby carrier. It folds up very small, like I can shove it in any pocket. It weighs practically nothing. So as Charlie starts hiking more, we'll probably soon be ditching the Osprey Poco Plus and going to my normal Osprey and then using the Trail Magic carrier for when she needs to take breaks. Next up, let's talk base layers. I am a huge fan of merino wool. I almost always wear merino wool when I'm hiking. So of course I had to get Charlie some merino wool. This is one of her base layers. It's from the company Iksplore. It is 100% merino wool. We have worn this thing to its max. Love this thing. This is a 6 to 12 month size. I think we started wearing this when she was 3 or 4 months old and just rolled the sleeves and the pants up, and she just outgrew it, and she's over 2 years old now. So this thing was a very good bang for our buck. We used it a ton. I also have this set from Iksplore. This is a 2-piece set. It has leggings and the top. These are great when it's super cold out. I'll wear this as a base layer. If it's sunny, I've also just had her wearing these, and that's it, since merino wool is super breathable and it's protection from the sun. Moving out of merino wool, I also have this REI set for her. This one's made out of polyester and spandex. This one's super soft and comfy. We use this all the time too. I pretty much always carry a backup pair of base layer pants in case she has an accident and gets her pants wet. I don't want her sitting in anything wet and getting cold. And lastly, this is kind of a base layer, could be a standalone. This is the REI Sun Hoodie, Toddler Sun Hoodie. It has been worn a lot, got some stains on it. Love this thing. She practically lived in this thing all summer. I love this because sometimes she doesn't want to keep a hat on, and this has a really big hood on that she almost always kept on. So if she wasn't up for wearing a hat in the sun, I could always put on the hood. And this also came in handy, like on beach days, I would throw this on too. So multi-purpose, fantastic. Next up, let's talk mid-layers. One of my favorite pieces of gear I've had and I consistently keep buying in new sizes is this Columbia bunting suit. It's a super thick fleece and it has the fold over feet and the fold over mittens. This thing is fantastic. We throw on a base layer, throw on the Columbia bunting suit, and then pile it up with whatever else we need, a puffer, a rain jacket, hat, gloves. This thing was so cozy and I love how it was one piece. When she was smaller in the Tula and an Osprey carrier, it's super nice having one piece so she isn't bunching up on the pants or the shirt and that she's fully covered. This thing is super cozy. I loved it so much that I bought her the next size up. And Love that one so much that we bought her the next size up. So she's currently still kind of wearing this one. She's almost outgrown it, but these guys have gotten a lot of love. We love these. One tip if you do choose to wear a bunting suit or anything like this is to size up. While front carrying or having my daughter in the Tula, I noticed she'd kind of bunch. If I was utilizing the feet pockets on her toesies or the hand pockets, it would shrink up, and so I wanted her to have that extra room so her circulation wasn't being cut off. So if you're buying these, I say size up. Another mid-layer we love is a good fleece jacket. This was her jacket when she was teeny tiny, a little Columbia fleece, and then we just moved up to this REI fleece. This is a 4T, it's still pretty big on her, but I'm always game for sizing up so she can have room to grow in it and wear it as much as possible. Fleece is our best friend for layering. All right, next up is outerwear. This is REI's little puffer jacket. So on super cold days, she'll be wearing a base layer, a mid layer of fleece, which is either her bunting suit or a fleece jacket and some fleece pants over, and then a puffer jacket. She recently sized up to this one, which I do like the hood on this one since she doesn't love to keep a hat on all the time. I bought this one at Goodwill for $6. This jacket sells for $60, I think, brand new online. One thing I want to mention about everything that we have here is that I am a bargain hunter and I do not like to pay full price. So most of it is either hand-me-downs I got at the thrift store, it was gifted to her, or I found on a good sale or a closeout. So my tip to you is babies and toddlers grow super fast. Don't bother trying to buy brand new unless you absolutely have to and you can't find what you want. Most of the time you can find it gently used, or if you know someone, hit them up for some hand-me-downs. All right, next up for outerwear are these pants. These are Jan and Jewel pants. They are fleece lined. They're super thick and the outside is waterproof. They have a drawstring on them so they don't slip down. And they also have cuffed ankles. These are super cozy. I'll throw on her merino wool pants, these on top, and she is good to go for her little leggies. Next up in outerwear is rain gear. I live in Washington, which is notoriously known for its rain. So of course we have to have rain gear. This is Charlie's current rain jacket. I pretty much always carry her rain jacket in our backpack just in case. This one's nice because it has a little bit of fleece lining on it too, so it adds a little bit of extra layer of warmth if she needs it. And lastly, if it's really nasty, really rainy, really cold, I have used these rain suits. So I'll put all of her layers on, and then this goes on top. This one is from Cuddle Club. It has a nice hood on it to keep her dry, and the wrist and the ankle have Velcro straps. And then the ankles also have these straps to hold their boots on. This is a classic Tuffo suit. I'm sure you've seen this everywhere. Super great, keeps her dry, does the job. Little walking umbrella. Okay, next up, let's talk about accessories. One thing that Charlie almost always wears during the cold weather is a beanie. We love a Carhartt. She has lots of them, lots of fun colors. And then in the sun, we started wearing a sun hat or a baseball hat. She doesn't love to keep these on all the time, so I have found it helpful when it's super sunny to either wear her sun hoodie that has the hood on it, or I'll put up the sunshade on the Osprey Poco Plus. When it's chilly outside, I have merino wool gloves. I just got these off Amazon, but they're 100% merino wool. These are great for when it's kind of cold out. If it's really cold out, I have these gloves I got from Costco. They're just Head brand. I think they're like 10 bucks, but these are fleece lined. They're super thick and cozy and they're waterproof. One thing I have found helpful is to put these on, I'll put her base layers on, then I'll put all of her outer layers on, and that way the glove cuffs are underneath all of her layers so they aren't falling off. For socks, you probably guessed it, we love merino wool. I bought these ones off of Amazon. These are super cozy warm. These ones are a little bit thicker, so sometimes they're hard to wear depending on what shoes she's wearing. For a thinner sock, I bought her some smart wool socks. These are also merino wool. These ones are just a lot thinner. Okay, next up is shoes. Once Charlie started walking, I got her these bogs. These have like a soft flexible sole. They have a fuzzy lining and they are waterproof on the outside. Charlie started walking in January, so it was cold and I needed something that was warm and waterproof and flexible while she was still trying to get her full feet on the ground. Love these. And now Charlie has moved up to big girl hiking boots. She has these Timberland boots. I got these at Sahara Trading Post. These have great tread on them and they're waterproof to keep her feet warm. Okay, next up is our sleep system. Charlie and I went on our first backpacking trip when she was about 10.5 months old. I did a ton of reading and research on the best sleep systems for babies. I'm no expert, but this is what worked for us. I found her a Morrison outdoor sleeping bag. This is the 20 to 60 degree down sleeping bag. So this is for 2 to 4-year-olds. You can see it's pretty long. When we went on our first backpacking trips that summer, I took a hair tie and rubber band it down here so that she wouldn't slip down while she was sleeping. This thing is super cozy. We're still using that sleeping bag today. We've gone on a few trips this fall where it's been super cold. So between that and then layering her with a fleece onesie or her fleece bunting suit, it's kept her super warm. And then if she'll keep it on, I'll put a beanie on her once she falls asleep, or else she won't keep it on. And then for sleep mats, it's recommended that you use a closed foam sleeping pad while sleeping with infants. I have 2 of these. They're Northeast sleeping pads. They were $16 at Sahara Trading Post. These are not the most comfortable by themselves, but they do the job, and we have spent many nights on these things. Next up is just some odds and ends that I found helpful. Number 1 are these Nalgene sippy bottles. We use them religiously. I love these because they do not leak. Another thing I found extremely helpful while carrying Charlie is using a water bladder. I kind of stopped using them before because it kind of grossed me out and I felt like they were hard to keep clean without getting funky tastes. But after having Charlie, it was way too difficult to get my water in and out. This is super handy for me to keep me hydrated. Charlie started drinking from the hose at a super young age, so that was super helpful to me that we could just share our water and that she had constant access to water the whole time and I didn't have to worry about keeping her hydrated. And she thinks it's really fun, so she always drinks a lot of water while we're hiking. Another thing I found super helpful while Charlie was younger is pretty basic, but a binky and a binky clip. This I would either attach to the Tula or my Osprey carrier. That way she always has access to the binky when she's ready to nap. Another thing I found helpful is a bottle strap. When she was younger, I used to give her a bottle in the backpack. I'd attach the bottle to this and have this end attached to my backpack so I wasn't having to pick up bottles flying off the backpack or if she needs to put it down or whatever. And then also another thing I found helpful are these little toy straps. I got a multi-pack of these on Amazon for a few bucks. But these are nice. You can pretty much strap it around any toy and then strap the other end to the backpack. That way if she's bored in the backpack, she has something to play with. And then lastly, when Charlie was still drinking bottles as her main source of nutrients, I didn't want to carry a ton of bottles on the trail, especially when we were backpacking. So I came up with this little system where I would take a milk storage bag. I would measure out however much formula she needed into this and seal it up. And then when she was ready for a bottle, I would pour in the hot water, seal it up nice and good, shake it all up and get it mostly mixed. And then I would take one of these disposable bottle liners, put this in her bottle, and then pour the formula into the bottle that had the liner in it. This would just keep her bottles cleaner longer until we could get to camp. And then at camp, I would boil water and then sanitize her nipples. And then if her bottle got gross, I could boil water and clean her bottle that way. But this made it so I didn't have to lug around a bunch of extra bottles. I would just bring 2 bottles with me on our trips and then rotate between the 2 in between washing them. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is this rumple blanket, which is actually behind me right here. This blanket has been on almost every hiking and backpacking trip that we have been on. It's come in handy for a lot of different reasons. When she was younger, I used it when we were taking breaks. I'd lay it out on the ground so that she had somewhere safe and not so pokey to crawl around on or lay on. One of my top concerns when I'm hiking or backpacking with Charlie is her body temperature, especially if she gets too cold. So I like to carry this in my backpack as a just in case It is bulky, it takes up space, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, so I love this thing. All right, well that covers all of my favorite baby and toddler hiking and backpacking gear. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the trails.